The fine folks at Kinesis sent me along this Advantage 2. It's the second version of my favorite keyboard, the Advantage, which I talked about a lot on Twitter, and they reached out and said, hey, would you mind reviewing the Advantage 2? We noticed you liked the Advantage 1 a lot, and I told them I'd love to, because the shape of this keyboard makes it so much more comfortable to type on compared to anything else out there, any other Ergodox or any other keyboard I've tried, and I've tried dozens of them if you've seen my other stuff. And I just love typing on this thing. I think it's the most comfortable thing in the world to type on. The second thing to notice are the thumb clusters on here and over here, where instead of using your pinkies to reach up for where the delete key would normally be, you could use a thumb to hit a delete key or a backspace key to save yourself from reaching over with your pinkies. So you always keep your hands nice and in the middle and on the home rows. So in my opinion, with my experience with keyboards, those two features, the shape and comfort of typing, along with the thumb clusters, are the make or break features of a keyboard for me personally. There's a lot more nerdy features like flashing firmwares and programming the keys to do certain things, but if the shape of the keyboard isn't right and it's not comfortable to type on and you can't use your thumbs instead of reaching out all the time, then it's just not worth using in my opinion. And speaking of programming the keyboard, you can simply remap keys by hitting program, the small key up here, and then tapping one key and then the other, say, hey, use this key there. Or you can record macros where you hit program a macro, you type some sort of combination, and then you type out a macro of like your email address or some common thing you'd use all the time, and you can save and record and replay that macro from the hardware level rather than using software to do that. And then you're also able to edit those key remappings and macros inside of just a text file. You can drag and drop over like it's on a USB hard drive, and you just drag that file over, save it to the keyboard, and then everything's remapped for you, so you could share that stuff with your friends if you have layouts. For example, I use Colmac as my layout, and Kinesis guys sent me a Colmac layout, which I just dragged and dropped onto my keyboard, and then it was ready to go. And you can save multiple layouts. They have a default of QWERTY and Dvorak, as well as a Mac and PC mappings for the specific control command keys. And the last thing to mention that these are Cherry MX brown keys, so you will get a bit of the click and a nice tactile feedback. They come in either brown or reds, if you know the difference between those. If not, there's plenty of other videos on YouTube to explain that. Browns aren't my absolute favorite, but I do love them. Maybe if we all cross our fingers, someday they'll put out blues or the Matias clickies and quiet switches, which are my personal favorites. But I do truly love the browns, and I think it's a great typing experience with them. Then lastly, this does come with a keypad layer, so you can hit a keypad key, and then these keys turn into the 1 through 9s. If you're used to reaching over to a keypad and rapidly typing in numbers, you can switch to that. Or like I did, you can remap it to something else. For example, when I'm programming, I remap it to curly braces and parens and other brackets and things like that I use really often. So I can hold down a key to toggle to that layer, type a bunch of special characters without having to reach and shift and hit them inside of the number row. And that way I can type out a bunch of special characters really quickly while I'm programming. Other than that, that is the Advantage 2. If you have an Advantage 1, then you know exactly what this is. It'll be the exact same typing experience. They made the minor change of changing the function keys to be more clicky. They're not rubbery anymore, so that's nice. But other than that, it's the exact same typing experience, so you'll be very familiar with that. The new things are really how easy it is to program it, to remap things. And if you've never tried out an Advantage 2 before, I strongly recommend it. I think they have some sort of demo program if you order through their site, where I think you can send it back if you don't like it or something. So that's the Advantage 2, my personal favorite keyboard. And thanks to the Kinesis guys for sending one my way.